Hello, I am Eiley Rader. You are watching Scream News, and today we will be talking about how global warming is affecting our world. Now, with Amanda, who will be telling us about the Arctic.
Thank you, Eiley. Well, since the world's surface temperature has risen up to 1 degree Fahrenheit, and the average atmospheric temperature has risen up to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, it's leading the polar ice caps to melt. And how does this affect us? Well, it's because 40% of the world's population does live at coastal regions. Therefore, by 2100, the sea levels are expected to rise by 1 meter. So, this becomes an environmental stress to not only people who live at coastal regions, but also the wildlife at the polar ice caps, such as polar bears, sea lions, and fish. So since the world's temperature is changing, they have to relocate where their natural feeding grounds are, thus making polar bears having to swim further, having a higher stress, and thus exhausting them. So therefore, they're having environmental stress as well. A good chunk of our world's fresh water is in the ice caps. About half of our world's fresh water is in the ice caps, actually. Then that water starts to melt, and then it starts to mix in with the salt water. Then we lose our fresh water supply. Back to you, Eiley.
These images show the decline of the Arctic from 1979 to 2007. This image shows what the Arctic will look like in 2085 compared to what it looked like in 1885 and 1985. These next couple images show what it looks like in the Arctic and what is going on right now, all the melting of the ice caps and the flooding of the area. This also shows the animals that have been affected, such as polar bears, foxes, rabbits, penguins. All of them are being affected in negative ways because of what we've done to the environment. Just so that you could get a good idea of what actually is going on, here are some before and after pictures of what the Arctic used to look like to what it looks like now. It is truly devastating, and I don't know how anyone could look at these pictures and not think, wow, what has happened? Thanks, Amanda. Now that we've talked a little bit about the Arctic and flooding, let's go over to Cameron with droughts.
In the United States, droughts can have a major impact on agriculture, water supply, energy production, and transportation. Shockingly, it has been reported the West has experienced less rain over the past 50 years, as well as an increase in the severity and length of droughts. This has been especially a concern in the Southwest. A drought can have severe consequences that can have a significant effect on the land which holds the drought. It does a lot of damage to the local economy as well as further regions. As the climate heats up, droughts are expected to become more frequent and severe in some locations.
Here are some images of some animals that have been affected and people that have had to kill their animals because of the drought and not being able to supply enough water. Look at all these cows that they had to kill because of the drought. These are just some people that have been affected. Their water used to be this whole entire area, and now it's not. Here is a poor cow that is suffering because they cannot give it enough water. Plants are also being affected, such as these crops, which affects people because people can't eat unless they have food. Here are some areas that used to be flooded, completely full of water, and now are completely empty, and some before and after pictures just like before, so you can see what is actually going on and how devastating this is to us and animals.
Science of why some people don't believe in climate science. 4 out of 10 Americans aren't convinced. And consider this, among the majority who do accept the science of climate change, folks don't seem to be doing much about it. Climate change is a gradual, impersonal thing that always seems to live in the future. But if climate change threatened these puppies, wouldn't you pay more attention? Psychologist Daniel Kahneman, when we're faced with uncertain threats about things we might lose in the distant future, our brains will invent all kinds of excuses not to act on them today. I mean, look at the way we talk about climate change. It always seems to happen in the future tense.
Caretakers of the future. What the future holds, sheltering future generations, stand up for our future.
A poll by Yale University shows 65% of people think climate change will harm future generations, and just 38% say it will harm them personally. This is what Kahneman calls our optimism bias, assuming that we face lower risks than others do. Car accidents won't happen to us, or the next big hurricane surely won't hit here. Because bad things only happen to other people. Hurricanes and wildfires are always on the news. September 2014 was the 355th month in a row of higher than average temperatures. It's like a broken record, broken record, broken record. People also doubt climate change because they're uncertain about uncertainty. When scientists talk about uncertainties, all the known knowns, known unknowns, and unknown unknowns, many people think they're not confident in their findings when the opposite is true. Less than 1 in 4 Americans think that there's a scientific consensus about climate change, yet 97% of scientists are in agreement. What's weird is we don't apply this uncertainty about uncertainty to other issues. A 1% chance of a terrorist attack, and we're sounding all the alarms.
Instead of drifting along toward tragedy, we will set a course towards safety.
But nearly certain global disruption from climate change.
There is not agreement around the fact of exactly what is causing this.
The climate is always changing between pauses, and that we are not capable with our limited knowledge of predicting which way it will go next.
8 inches of snow in the East Coast. I've got an explanation. That's not climate change. It's called winter.
Thanks to today's hyperbole-infused media, we're almost numb or indifferent to anything that isn't about to literally kill us. Why aren't more people worried? Patricia Linville and Gregory Fisher argue that we have a finite pool of worry, and climate change isn't allowed in the water. We view and make sense of our world through frames, not just so we can focus better on what's inside, but also to decide what we can ignore. For some people, your frame is built based on your political party. For others, it's carved out of your religious beliefs or your economic philosophy. Viewing the world through the same frame as your social in-group, whatever that might be, is important to remaining part of that in-group. Basically, we're all puppets controlled by the strings of social conformity. That's not a choice, it's just who we are. From the time we're kids, we read social cues from people around us, like how to talk or not burping in public. Our survival used to literally depend on being part of a social group. So if you're part of some social group that doesn't believe in climate change, you have 2 risks to weigh. Climate change and all of its uncertainties, or the very personal risk of becoming an outsider. Sociologist Stanley Cohen writes that climate change denial isn't not knowing or refusing to know. It's about choosing not to notice or talk about it so that we don't rock the in-group boat. Climate change is almost the perfect problem. We've got to do something about it, but every one of its attributes goes against our psychology. It involves economics, morals, human rights, ideology, technology. It's really hard.
Thanks, Starkey. We are here with Dr. Tibear, an environmental scientist, and Mr. Washington, a local oil company owner. Let's start off with a few questions. What is your view on climate change?
I believe that humans most definitely influence climate change, and I feel that we could either increase the rapid pace at which temperature rises and which climate does change, or we could do our best to reduce the effects of which we bring upon it.
All right, and yours?
It's a bunch of baloney. Humans contribute nothing negative to the environment.
Okay. Nothing?
Nothing.
Not one thing?
Nope.
Nope. Not even a single CO2 emission?
No, it's America.
I'm sorry,
Land of the free. Free all the gases into the air. Just because you're human, you think that you're the only one that gets freedom around these.
All right. So, what's your main solution to fuel consumption?
Well, I feel like a main solution that a nation could do is most definitely reduce CO2 emissions, and then also, we could also reduce our fuel consumption.
So your company has donated $3 billion to help the environment.
I'm gonna just cut in there real quick. The environment that was injured, correct? That you helped, kind of like
There's
fix?
no evidence of that.
Well, like, okay, so who injured / kind of destroyed the environment in the first place? Wasn't it your company?
I can't assume liability for that.
The CO2 emissions causing the temperature to rise, which caused the dryment to dry up, which caused the vegetation to lower, which you were trying to fix. You were just cleaning up your mess rather than fixing something that was already not fixed.
Next question.
Okay.
Okay. What do you feel society can do to help change the effects that we have caused on the earth?
Well, I feel that we must change as a society and change our way of living, such as to be less wasteful, to reduce CO2 emissions, to lessen our carbon footprint, and also use less fuel consumption, because more fuel consumption leads to higher CO2 emissions, which leads to a higher rapid climate change and higher global temperature, which leads to ice caps melting and then thus melting and causing the oceans to rise and then causing places to flood, etc. It's a big cycle which we could help reduce.
Yes, we heard a lot about that in our first segment. What is one thing that we could do at home right now?
So things that you could do at home right now is you could do, you could reduce, reuse, recycle. Of course, we've all heard that. See, this is part of the problem. You could always use a reusable water bottle, and this, if you are going to use something like this, such as a plastic water bottle, you can recycle it, and yeah, it's just little things like that does a big difference.
What is something that large oil companies like yourself can do in regards to the environment?
Well, it's always nice to preach about doing good things for the environment, but it's a lot easier to just pay off a bunch of politicians.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Now on to our next segment where we talk about what you can do at home.
Thanks, Eiley. The things we can do to reduce our impact on the environment is using more efficient appliances, using less water, turning off lights when we don't use them, and the most important is to recycle. And if you don't know or need help getting a recycle bin, you can contact your city officials. Another thing you could do is grow your own fruits and vegetables at home. And like always, remember to reuse, reduce, and recycle, so our society can be greener and better. I'm Cameron Starkey, and thank you for watching Scream News.
Don't be lame. Do what Sokka does. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Bloopers. Bloopers.
Guys, how does my glow look?
Good. Oh, that actually worked. And recording.
Did you just say dos manos?
No. Dos manos.
Okay, and then it's recording.
Okay. Alright.
Hello.
It went gone!
I didn't even.
Go.
Don't do this to me! Oh, come on! No!
Oh my goodness,
Every time I move, it's gonna squeak.
Or the floor.
You just sit on the rocking chair. You're taking my phone? That's theft. I'm shook.
Oh no. It's recording.
She's dancing and then I can't help. Okay.
If you want, I could just
This, everybody chill. Shh. Relax.
Ooh, stop.
Hum me a song, somebody. You have an accent.
Hello.
British accent.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, Eiley.